Moving into a brand newly constructed house, the challenge, making it look old. Beautiful doors. I love a split front door. Before I take you on a tour of this house, let's pretend you lived in Italy. Now, would all the furniture in your home in Italy be Italian furniture? Probably not, because that's not reality. If you lived in France, England, Spain, same thing. You see, the furniture industry for a long time, long before our grandparents, has been an international industry. The antique dealers have been swapping countries long before our great-grandmothers were born. So why is it some of you write me letters and say, gee, I have all English furniture. Can I put a Spanish piece in there? Can I mix old and new? Can I mix contemporary furniture with Asian furniture with teak furniture that I collected in the 60s? Absolutely. And this house, what you're about to see, is proof positive. Now, the designers here have done it with integrity, architectural integrity. In other words, they fit all this mixture of furniture together beautifully so that it's convincing, and that's really the key. Now, what you're going to see is a living room. In fact, the whole ground floor is carpeted in seagrass. Where does that come from? And yet most of the furniture is Spanish, English, and French. Take a look at the collection here. Now, before we go any further, let's talk about the floor plan. I came in the front door, and almost straight back from the front door is this pair of beautifully shaped French doors. You just saw the living room. The living room is on the back of the house. Imagine taking your living room, dining room, kitchen, and family room and lining them up all in a row, railroad style, on the back of the house. Why would you do that? Well, you would if you had a beautiful view. Every room along the back is windowed with French doors. So in other words, they open and you have a balcony to the rear view. And we'll show you the rear view in a little while. But now let's go on with our decorating story. In the center of this rear foyer, if you will, that separates the dining room from the living room, is an old table, a collectible. Now we're in the dining room. So you see it's one big open space. Now, mixing furniture, there's no science to that. Mixing furniture is all about what looks good to you, what you like. In this case, in the dining room, the majority of the furniture was French, but the chairs were Chippendale. But that would have been okay with a very fancy back, but you'll notice instead there are covers on the backs of these chairs, just because to the owner and to the designer, the Chippendale pattern was bothersome. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with mixing Chippendale and French. Now let's go back to the floor plan story. Remember, you have a living room, dining room, and kitchen all lined up along the back of the house. But there is a parallel hallway that takes you from the front through to the kitchen and the family room. So it's very practical floor plan. Once you get to the kitchen, it's not a very big kitchen, but it certainly is accessible. Because on one side is the family room, which we'll show you in a minute, and then what separates the kitchen from the dining room is a little butler's pantry. What I like about this kitchen is its impact. High ceilings, but a great choice in wallpaper. A wonderful green and oak pattern. But also, look at the window in the kitchen. Now, a kitchen is really nothing more than cabinets and appliances and a work surface. But when your kitchen is very functional, you need a couple of focal points. One is the window treatment. You see the round window and the large bulkheads. That area between the top of the upper cupboard and the ceiling is traditionally called a bulkhead. In this case, it's dressed with plates. Beautifully done. Now, let's find our way to the family room. Now, the family room has a very interesting design lesson. First, let's think about the use of a family room. Well, by definition, it is for the whole family, and it usually includes every possible activity that you can squeeze into the space. And where there are activities, there are extra things, not only the furniture that you need for those activities, like a table for playing cards or games, television watching furniture, computers, anything that you can imagine, especially if you have little kids. But what's also important is that you have all that technical equipment. So you have visual riot. In this case, they incorporated that riot into the decor. For example, if you take a look at this fabric, it's pretty bold. It's a picture fabric. It has a very large pattern repeat. It's a complex fabric, and it's dark. And notice how the fabric is used, all the window treatments, large toppers on the windows, as well as the main event, the sofa. In this case, when you have a family room that's full of activity for seating, furnishings, and technical equipment, and you have antiques, the idea here is to put it all in the blender and see how it comes out without losing sight of your objective, which is in this case, traditional style. Great house, great lessons in that house. There are two pictures I want to go back and take a look at, because as we were going through the house the first time, we were focused on furniture and the floor plan. But there are two great home improvement details which you could implement in your house. Watch these. Mirroring a wall is a great way to make space, but does it mean you can't have pictures? Mm-mm. If you have a foyer that's missing its personality, try a niche. It doesn't have to be deep. This one's only 3 inches. See what I mean? If your refrigerator is noteworthy, you're going to love our next story. If you have gizmos and drawings and little notes to the kids all over your refrigerator with magnets, we're going to show you how to make a giant magnet that covers the door of the fridge. You can write all kinds of things on it right after this.